Hello, my name is James Hill, and this is my YouTube presentation in GERO 508 and for my research assignment, which was centered around the, anxiety. I know I get them, anxiety and aging play a major part because, as many of us know, gerontologists would know, is that many elderly or most people, once they start getting older, their penchant for developing or being able to deal with stress and anxiety, and especially if it's one of a financial kind, and also you have to take the histrionic of the individual into place. For instance, the individual came from an area of like the Depression era, or they come from a family with not much money, and for instance, they may be a domestic. So they always have that anxiety attached to them, dealing with the ability trying to cope with the actual stress that they're feeling, because they're worrying so much. Will they have enough money for food, or to take care of their bills, and just little bitty things that constantly go on and on and on. And so that's what one of the things I wanted to look at, because with the elderly, it, you hear it all the time, like, oh my God, my grandmother's such a worry horse, but no one ever takes an account why those individuals, or why that individual may have come to that point in life that they are that worry horse, as some would say. As I pointed out, the some of the signs of symptoms that may just be on display would be pinching pennies, as far as the anxiety, especially on a financial matter, or death. Constantly worrying about death. Am I going to die? Or this person going to die? Or is the world going to end? Is constantly worrying and expressing it, and doing abnormal things to restrain or to control the situation that is actually sort of majority of times out of their control. These are signs and symptoms that usually displayed. The description of the psychosocial factor is one that I basically described, and as a gerontologist, or if I was a case manager and I had an elderly person come in to speak with me, the first thing I'm going to do is an intake. And that intake going to be my assessment of the situation, and from that, I'm going to actually look to see what is the issues going on, what is presenting itself right now, and how can we correct it. Because when most people come in with these particular conditions, it is considered part of the medical model, in which the person has a mental illness. But once again, we need to look at the whole person, and the total person in their environment, to gain an understanding of who they are. And so, instead of just looking at the medical model, we can also look at it's the biosocial or physical model, to gain an understanding of the individual and how they've come to experience more anxiety than the normal individual may display, of a person of their particular age, especially when we're speaking of the elderly. So my hypothesis will come to be is that um, elderly, um, older adults, let's say older adults, um, who experience anxiety, will be able to moderate that and eliminate that anxiety or stressor, if they are able to do some behavioral therapies, in which that would modify this. One of the things would be eliminating that particular stressor that is actually causing the anxiety. That is the worrying. That's focused on some meaningful things and do gauges some meaningful activities. Um, we did a study on with the it was Odyssey, and the different activities which the elderly individuals engaged in that allowed them to engage with society, and also that other program in which the older adults were tutoring younger people. Once again, they're staying engaged, and they're basically keeping their cognitive function up high and stopping them from constantly sitting back worrying about things that are out of their control and actually don't require us, the mental processes which they're spending worrying about the situation. Because in elderly individuals with stress, there is a risk of cognitive brain function that could be deteriorated. And as we've studied with the hypothalamus, it wants to this deterioration goes down. One of the huge risk factors for older adults, which damage to the hypothalamus that comes about is Alzheimer's disease, which is serious. And so we must always take an account of this when we're speaking with the elderly individual to make sure we allow them to understand about keeping their stresses down so they keep their health up. A little stress is always good, but too much stress and too much worrying, as Professor Grunwald had written in her presentation, it strains the brain, and that's something we don't need for elderly individuals nowadays, with so many things for them on their mind to worry about regarding either Medicare, Social Security, uh, their checks, and other different social programs. So I'd like to thank you, and I enjoyed spending the time with you guys and learning with you and Gerontology 508. And have a great graduation, and for the ones who are graduating, a great summer, and take care. Thank you.